Dave.
Yeah.
How's it going, Joe?
It's gone good. It's gone good. I like your last song, by the way. Your new song.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a long time coming, that one.
Oh, yeah, I know those. Believe me, I know those.
Terrible.
You
You
sometimes.
Best songs ever. So it's probably worth the wait.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes you know you have something, but you don't really know what it is yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Brian. Hey. Whoa, showing up on a Thursday.
I know. Some days the stars align, man.
This is awesome.
Good to see you, Brian.
Yeah, you guys too.
Mm-hmm.
We're
going to talk about one of Brian's songs today, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And Dave, maybe we can talk about your most recent song too, because I think that fills the bill too. It has some elements of humor, but not funny ha humor, but observation humor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
And
there's something about wit, like wit doesn't always need to be humorous. It doesn't always need to like make you laugh, but like humor kind of like turns things on its head and helps you see things a little different. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I was excited to do this workshop with everybody today, because I feel that 100%.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary Jane.
Hey, MJ. Good to see you. Joe, I'm also going to, I don't know if this makes any difference to you, but I'm going to make you a co-host, which means we will share power.
Ooh. Will I be able to share my graphics?
You can share graphics. You can let people in the room. You can silence the masses. You can. That's pretty much it.
My wife is
great
teaching
power
online.
comes great responsibility.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of, so I quoted that to my son the other day because we have this like solar power plant that we're developing, and I'm like, son, with great power comes great responsibility. And he's like, Papa, that's a good joke. Great joke. He calls any kind of like serious quote like a good joke.
Oh, I love that.
I think he's actually, what he's getting at is he's picking up on kind of the wit of,
yeah.
I don't know, there's a wisdom and a wit in it that is, yeah.
I love that. I love that he said that. I still remember my son's first joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very small. I have twins, boy-girl twins, and they were in the tub together. And she turned around to do something, and he put a washcloth on her back, and then broke up. He just broke up because the incongruity of it, And of course, she didn't get it. She's like, "Why is there a washcloth on my back?" But
yeah.
he's like,
I know.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah. I tend towards that humor. I don't know if I've ever fully just outgrown like the incongruity humor. Gets me.
It's all incongruity.
Yeah.
Some sort. Yep.
Well, I think some more people will probably show up, but I think we can just get started now.
Okay.
Y'all know Joe. Y'all know each other. It's been really fun getting to know Joe just the last few months. You joined the group back in like August or something, right before the 100 days.
My nephew-in-law got me into it.
Ira.
He's like, "You'd love this, Joe. You'd love this."
Good. Well, I'm so glad you're here, man. And you're gonna lead the way, my friend.
I will do my best. Okay, so let me just see if I can bring up a. Okay, where is it now? I know it's here someplace. Hold on a second. Oh, Okay, I don't see it, so I'm going to go someplace else.
Yeah, you just, hey, Lita. Good to see you.
I don't know Lita very well. Let's see. Here we go. Here it is.
Hello.
Okay. Skip that. Can you guys see anything at the moment?
No. Okay. So what you need to do, are you on your computer, Joe?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So what you need to do is come back to the Zoom screen.
Yep.
And there's at the bottom where you see our faces or whatever at the bottom, there's a little green share button.
I'm looking.
Oh, you got
This
good.
is
You got your
the better
tech
half.
support.
We're not using Zoom though. We're using
Yeah.
Google.
That's cool. Yeah.
So there's a green share screen button that should be at the bottom.
Right there.
And
Yeah.
click that, and then you can either share your. Yeah, there we go. Rock and roll.
Okay.
Hey, look at that, Joe. Welcome to the future.
Graphic designer.
I was
Yeah, that's
once.
what
Yeah.
Man, you got like slides and stuff.
I do. Yes.
So
yes.
rad. Okay.
So I thought this was a good way to start with this quote that humor is an affirmation of dignity, a declaration of man's superiority to all that befalls him. As long as we can laugh, we're okay. It's simple as that, you know, at our own stupidity. And even when we laugh at the stupidity of others, it's recognizing the stupidity in ourselves. So let's see. That's where I was today. I'm not presenting though. Let me present.
Yeah, go for it.
Present. There.
Yeah. Oh man.
So this is how we all feel as we had our deadlines. And this is, of course, the greatest, one of the greatest wits of the 20th century, Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Bill Watterson. And there we go. Humor and humanity. And I say humor and humanity is because to me, it's not about a punchline, although sometimes I like punchlines, but it's about finding the moments in life and recognizing them and understanding them. And this is a sort of my disclaimer. I don't know if you can read that or not. It's sort of underneath something on mine. Okay. So I'm not pretending to be an expert. I'm just, you know, leading the group over the cliff here. Okay, so this cartoon reminds me of the most famous last words of anybody ever, was, hey, Ma, look at this, or something to that effect. So recognition of one's own foibles and imperfections, self-doubts and anxieties. So when we recognize that, and we recognize it in others as well. And I think that's one of the key components of humor. And of course, we all love exaggeration. And as my children's 5th grade teacher said it, hyperbole. She taught them all about hyperbole. We didn't correct her because it would have been embarrassing. Told the kids, I believe the word is hyperbole, but don't correct her in class. You know, so and that's me. Happiness isn't good enough. Let's see. Okay, humor comes from 9 incongruities and surprising juxtapositions. Benign is an important word here because it can't be, I mean, it's got to be something that doesn't make us feel so uncomfortable that we're unhappy, but just uncomfortable enough that we can get that little laugh that you get when you're uncomfortable. You know, like teenage girls giggling, you know, when they're trying to talk to a teenage boy. it's that sense, and also surprising juxtapositions. Here, I'm going to put in the punchline here. I love this one. I think this is the analyst we should all have. A dog.
I think you're wonderful.
A big fluffy dog. He was great, that Charles Barinati. He used to love his stuff.
So good.
Now we come to music. And I picked a real classic John Prine song. Does everybody know this song? No?
I don't know.
Well, basically it goes, that's the way that the world goes round. You're up one day, the next you're down. It's a half an inch of water and you think you're going to drown. And that's the way that the world goes round. I was sitting in the bathtub counting my toes when the radiator broke and the water all froze. Got stuck in the ice without any clothes, naked as the eyes of a clown. I was crying ice cubes, hoping I'd croak when the sun come through the window and the ice all broke. I stood up and laughed, thought it was a joke. That's the way that the world goes round. And this contains a lot of those elements that we were just talking about. Hyperbole, taking the metaphor to an extreme. He's cold. Well, he's not cold. He's frozen in a bathtub of ice. That's pretty darn cold. And then recognizing the absurdity of it. That's part of what I love, is the absurdity of it. And I love his line, naked as the eyes of a clown. It's the one thing that John Prine could do, not just be funny, but also put in that humanity, that touch of humanity there. And I've always loved the line, it's a half an inch of water and you think you're going to drown, because I think we all recognize that. We all know that feeling. We all know that we get overwhelmed sometimes by something that's very simple. At least I do. I'm assuming everybody else does. I make a lot of assumptions here, but okay. And I did this one just for Brian. So Brian, I thought you might want to start out talking about your people song.
Sure. Yeah, so I've long used the phrase after a kind of a busy day of I'm peopled out, or it's like I've been peopled on today and I just need a break. And so would it be helpful if I sang the song?
Sure.
That he's referencing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just so that I have I turned my original sound on as Rigel has instructed.
You're a master
at
at Zoom, Brian.
So this is the song, and it kind of stems from what Joe talked about with understanding, like, the things that I get annoyed with are actually the things that I do too. So the biggest problem that I have with people is that people are human too. And just when you think you can stand them, they people all over you. They'll people on me, they'll people on you. It's just about the best that people can do. They'll people on me, they'll people on you. It's just about the best that people can do. And then it goes on, they'll burn down the bridge you've been building. They'll build up what you've torn down. They'll carry the hurts they've been given and spread all their hurting around. They'll people on me, they'll people on you. It's just about the best that people can do. They'll people on me, they'll people on you. It's just about the best that people can do. But just when you've lost all your patience and you're kicking the dust from your shoes. They'll do something stunning and radiant, and again they have peopled on you. Wouldn't you know the things that I love and drive me crazy? I see every day there in the mirror looking back at me. They'll people on me, they'll people on you. It's just about the best that people can do. They'll people on me, they'll people on you. It's just about the best that people can do. That's kind of the bare bones of it.
Oh man, so beautiful, Brian.
So Brian, would you mind if I ask you about the
Absolutely.
process of writing that?
Yeah. Well, like I said, it started with just kind of that turn of phrase, like verbing a noun. So people have, in this song becomes a noun just as much, or becomes a verb just as it is a noun. And looking at the complexity of kind of human behavior boiled down to this like one not word, you know, it's peopling isn't a word, but it is in this instance. And looking at how that it becomes a placeholder for the behavior that we do as people, and how it can be both like gut wrenching and like destructive, but also really beautiful. You know, and it's like both are equally frustrating, because just when I've finally written off humanity and I'm ready to like, you know, sell everything I have and live in an Airstream trailer in the woods, suddenly like something will happen and I'll witness this like beautiful act of like generosity and love and kindness, and it's like, now I can't give up, you know, like just when I'm ready to, I can't. And recognizing that I carry both of that, you know, both sides of that equation in me too. And recognizing that the things that drive me crazy are often things that I'm doing to people unaware that I'm peopling on them as well. So that's, I mean,
I
that's
don't
kind of
know.
it. Yeah.
I don't know if you realize this or if it's just my dirty mind, but the other thing that makes that really, really funny is that when you say they pull on you, they people on me. Did you mean to make that kind of a double meaning? Like,
oh, totally. Yep.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
that
My
makes
kids
it extra
thought it was
funny.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it also, I feel like I mean, the thing that comes to me is like people like shitting on you, like I shit on you. It has that kind of like, for some reason we have in our culture, like the word human nature is always used in a negative light. Like, and I don't know if this stems back to like Augustinian, you know, man is evil at the core, or, you know, Calvinist, whatever. Like there's some interesting theological things happening here. But what you're doing is like, you're kind of saying that it includes both. It includes both the dark side and the light side. And that's what peopling on is both.
Yeah.
It's the entire human, not just the part we're disgusted with or whatever. So
I think we naturally see ourselves as complex beings, you know, like we naturally see ourselves as like the result of good and bad, right? Like,
yeah,
I can look at my history and look at like the events that have formed me, and I can go, well, some of what formed me are good things, you know, like people doing good on behalf of me, or I'm being the recipient of something that's good. But I've also been the recipient of some, you know, I've been shat upon myself.
Yeah.
So like, it's both. But we also forget that other people have that situation too, when it's so easy for us to just like write somebody off as like all good or all bad, you know, whole groups of people sometimes just based on our perceptions of them or, you know, our incomplete thoughts of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's so easy. Yeah. Just while I got you here, talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts. So you came up with the phrase, and then you said, okay, I need a verse about this. What?
Yeah. So typically when I write, I actually start writing with the first verse. I don't actually write with the chorus. Most of the time, my songs end up, I write them in the order that they're heard for the most part, which I'm beginning to understand is kind of a weird thing, just because the hook is typically in the chorus. For me, I usually will end up being like, okay, what does a chorus for this verse sound like? Like, what does this verse need to back it up? And so it starts with the phrase, you know, this idea of peopling. Well, what is it about people that bugs me? And it's the fact that they're human too, right? Like, and so kind of coming up with like a shape to what this looks like. And I debated, you know, I wanted to talk about what that looks like in a negative sense, in that, you know, burn down the bridge you've been building and they'll build up what you've torn down. You know, kind of like working against some of the things that I try to do, sometimes completely unaware, you know, that they're doing it. But I also didn't want to leave it like that. And so then the third verse talks about, you know, like just when you're ready to give up, they'll do something that, like, I don't know if anybody else likes the movie Dumb and Dumber, you know, just when I think you can't get any dumber, you do something like this and totally redeem yourself. You know,
I have every line of that movie memorized.
So good. It's my life. You know, and so then I kind of added verses as more things needed to be discussed. So it wasn't, I didn't want to just leave it as a bad thing, because if I'm being honest with myself, you know, and honest with people around me, then I can't just leave it there. Right. And I don't typically write a lot of bridges, or at least it's not like a natural part of my process. But I decided that it probably needed it just to explain itself a little bit more, that like I'm including myself in this larger story. This larger situation includes me. I'm not like this innocent bystander standing on the margins, like, you know, observing things in a isolated scientific way. I'm realizing that I'm part of this situation, that this includes me. And so I'm a person who peoples on other people in the best and worst ways possible myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And it all worked together and came together into a very nice song, you know.
Yeah.
But it does take those steps, you know, I think. So yeah, let's go to.
Sorry, I just want to have one more. I'm just like raving. I feel like I'm walking with you in that moment of realization as you're writing it. Like you're kind of starting out, you know, writing about, you know, peopling on me and people, you know, and then it's like other people, and then I feel that turn inward as the song progresses, which is, it feels very natural. And I feel like when I'm at my best, I can do that too. When I'm not at my best, it usually just turns into me like ranting about someone, or it just gets dark and angry, and I like never want to see it again.
Totally. Yeah. And that's another part of peopling. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for including me.
There was I don't know, I heard a folk duo once do a version of Puff the Magic Dragon, where he replaced all the verbs with a different word that somebody would yell out. So all the verbs would, of the magic dragon blanked by the sea and blanked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu, and, left it up to people's imaginations what those blanks were. And so it was kind of fun, because it certainly puts a different spin on things, which is part of what we're trying to do.
That'd be such a fun exercise. I mean, you can do that with any song.
Yeah. Lita, whom I really don't know very well. Hi, Lita. Do you have something to share?
Sure. I didn't realize this was a sharing, but I have a humorous song that is probably my most favorite song among my friends. It's also somewhat dirty, so I want to just clarify that. And if there's any offensive taken people, then I will opt out of sharing it.
No, it's no problem.
Go for it.
Should I turn on original sound, Rigel, just to sing with no instrument?
You probably don't need to if you're not doing if you don't have an
singing
instrument. Yeah, I think you'll be
okay. It goes. Well, global warming's at an all-time high. Ozone layer so thin we'll die. Landfills filled up to the sky. And everyone is wondering why. Well, ladies, now it's up to you. Volunteer for the cleanup crew. Only one thing left to do. Make less humans for this here zoo. So do it in the butt, maybe give a little head, pass out cold every time you go to bed. I don't care what, just hear what I said. We gotta stop reproducing. Now, if you want to save the earth, keep a condom in your purse, 'cause things are only getting worse. Us humans have become a curse. I'm not saying don't have fun. He can always use his tongue. Toys are great and they don't come. So maybe you should get you one or two. Or you could do it in the butt, maybe give a little head, fall asleep every time you go to bed. I don't care what, just hear what I said. We gotta stop reproducing. Now, I don't want to leave out he who wants the planet to be free. So boys, sing it here with me. Snip, 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 vasectomy. Or you could do it in the butt, maybe give a little head, fall asleep every time you go to bed. I don't care what, just hear what I said. We gotta stop reproducing.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's great. And that touched on a number of the different elements of where humor comes from, not the least of which is titillation. Bringing you up to the forbidden territory, and so you get that thrill, but not so far that you get grossed out. So that was perfect.
Walking the line.
All right up to the edge. Tell us a little bit about how you put the verses together. What was your thought process?
Okay, well, I'm sure you all noticed, since this is a songwriter group, that the verses and the chorus have the identical melody. So it was just a vomitous moment of frustration with the world. And as a non-breeding human myself, I feel, I have this opinion, like that's one way that I'm helping I'm doing my little part by not making more consumers. So I just started thinking about it, and it just all came out. It just, like Brian said, it just came out all at once, and there was no structure or difference in the music. It was just a big poem, basically. And then when I put the melody to it, it just was one melody over and over again, which I feel like that's okay for a comedic song. I'm not trying to win any Grammy awards here.
Well, it harks to like an old folk song kind of feeling.
Yeah. When I perform it, I dress up. I have a character called Whammy Tynette, and yeah. So I have a whole ensemble. She's like a slutty country Western singer, and she sings. This is her song. So she's basically like a trashy Dolly Parton kind of character, and so so it definitely is a folky song from the mountain people that wrote those songs. It's accompanied on a banjo. with a with a washboard, washboard instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the humor to me came from that juxtaposition of the going up to the edge, but with the music, which is kind of a throwback. So you have the old-fashioned music, and you have concepts that once upon a time we didn't talk about. So it's great. It creates that tension, that juxtaposed tension between elements, and it does it really well.
Definitely turns the style on its ear a little bit, and I like some of that stuff. Like some of the bands that are out there right now start out with like the joke, right? And it's like, this is the joke. We're gonna do dirty songs in a traditional style, but it ends up being something that people really enjoy. Like there's a band called Steve and Seagulls, and they're a bluegrass band out of like Norway or something like that, and they do covers of like Metallica, but they've got like millions of hits on YouTube, and they're touring the world playing this like traditional style of music of rock, like pairing these two different worlds that like don't belong together in a traditional sense, but they do. And that's kind of what that song reminded me of. It's like what Joe said, it takes this older style, this older kind of presentation of music, but then it shifts everything.
It's sort of a cognitive word just went right out of my head.
Dissonance. Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance, which is
right.
Beautiful. I just love that.
Thank you.
So that's cool. MJ.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this for us. I just came on when I came on, and I read it really quick, and I did see that it's a sharing thing, and so I don't have anything ready. I mean, I could probably try to make something up.
Go ahead. Improvisation is wonderful.
Well, since this is recorded, so I guess I can take notes later of what I'm going to end up saying. Okay, so let's see. So it has to be something humorous, right?
It has to be something that ties somehow within a humorous juxtaposition or a wry observation.
Wow. Okay, well, I guess the only thing that I can think of is this COVID testing, in which I have been tested before. Oh God, I'm gonna bomb on this. Okay, so
that's okay.
Let's see. I have been tested by COVID testing before, and now it looks like I'm gonna be tested again. But what I know I hate will happen, that they will shove that super humongous Q-tip down my nose, and the yucky smell that comes right after that. Sorry, that's all. Do you guys agree?
You know what I actually thought was really funny was just the first line. The first line was like, I have been tested. And it like opens up this like,
what?
Oh my gosh, there's so many directions you could go with that. So I'm a fan.
So I mean, has anyone been tested here before? Was there like a yucky smell that you guys smelled after? No?
No. I did a rapid test, so it was kind of.
Did you guys get the thing that they shoved down your nose?
I got to do it to myself.
So. I got the one that went so big that you pushed it up and then pulled it out the other side.
No, you went to a magic show, Joe.
Okay, so I haven't been tested then.
Well, it's funny because it goes down and it's like this long or something, right? So it kind of goes down like into your whatever. And when it comes out, I mean, I don't know. To me, I felt like there was this yucky smell that I smelled, and I'm like, I guess maybe that's how our inside smells like.
Yeah.
But no one here is saying that you guys had a bad smell.
It didn't go that far for me.
Yeah, it's
It
been a
didn't go that
while,
far.
so I may have.
Oh, okay.
I don't smell that well, so matter of fact, I smell
Like-
terrible.
So I don't know. I hope I met the
Sure,
I
no pressure.
liked it.
Actually, I liked it.
Yeah, I
sounded
like
like
it.
Yeah, it almost sounded like you were going into a chanteuse kind of a thing, you know, a little bit jazzy, you know. And I love that you took the moment and made the song about the moment, because I find that's a real good strategy for me. When I can't think of something out there, I just bring it back to where I am, you know, and say, okay, well, here's where I am, so let's make a song out of that, you know.
What I liked, MJ, was that same first line. I did like that I could tell you were kind of making it up as you were going on the spot, which was kind of fun to watch because I do that a lot. And that was very awesome to be like, yeah, she's just putting it out there. The very first line, when you said, I've been tested, it really embodies like COVID is testing all of us in many, many ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was some symbolism there. Yeah, we are all being tested by COVID. And then you've turned it into a song about the actual test, which is, there's something funny about that.
Well, I used to tell my students, they'd say, Mr. Thompson, somebody read my story, because I was always, even though I was an art teacher, I had my guitar in my room and I was always encouraging them to write stories. It's sort of like, you know, everything goes. And some of them will go back and say, so-and-so read this and he saw this in it. Is that in there? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if he saw it, it's there. You know, you don't always know the multiple levels that you have put in there until much later, until you have somebody else listen or hear it and say, oh yeah. And then the next step, I think, is when somebody else records it or somebody else sings it, because then you hear nuances again, like, oh shit, I did that. You know, and it's a wonderful feeling.
Well, and that's one of the great things about humor too, right? Is like we can laugh at a joke, but we might be laughing at a different meaning of the joke. Like the joke, once it's told, just like a story or a song, once it's told, the interpretation is left up, you know, to the visitor, to the guest, to the hearer. And so when we're writing music or telling jokes or whatever, like we might all be laughing, but we might all be laughing at something different because of where we've come from, because of what has shaped our humor or our experience of the world. And that just makes it really funny, because you can watch a comedy show, you know, like a stand-up comic, and I love it when when people start laughing at something that wasn't really part of the joke. And I'm a pastor, and so when I preach, sometimes I'll try to make jokes and nobody will laugh, but I'll say something just offhanded that I hadn't written down or hadn't practiced, and they'll laugh at that. And it's like, but that was serious. You know? Like, I'm glad you thought I was funny, but that wasn't supposed to be funny. You know?
But that's what will stay with them. I noticed that as a teacher, it was the side comments and the asides that really stayed with the students a lot longer than my lesson, you know. So I think that's cool. Rigel, you want to share something with us? Is Dave here? I see his name.
Yeah, I think Dave's here. He might be working.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm in my truck. So I figured rather than have you guys stare at the cab, you could just look at my little avatar there.
did anybody understand that?
He's
Okay. In his truck.
he's with us in his truck, I believe.
Okay. Oh, that sounds like that could be a song.
Yeah.
As a
Is
matter of
this
fact.
a little better, Joe?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was using the Bluetooth on my truck, but now I switched to headphones.
Yeah. You got anything to share?
Well, you had mentioned the song that I posted this morning, Old Enough to Know Better. It's kind of a weird one. I wrote it, I was coming back from our local folk festival, and I think I'd probably been in a bit of an argument with my spouse at the time, and I was just so frustrated. She has a tendency to put up walls, and you can't get through them. And I think we all do that to a certain degree, but she is the queen. Anyway, the lyrics are, I'm not getting any younger, but I'm still the same inside. Sometimes I think that that's the problem when we don't see eye to eye. I'm not growing whatsoever. Why should I change the me I am? Sometimes I feel like you don't love me the way you did when we began. Old enough to know better, young enough to wonder why. I still wake up early. Still got a wandering eye, but I'm old enough to know better. So we never talk about it, and it don't get any worse, but it don't get any better, and that's what really hurts. The silence, it continues as the television screams, and we spend another evening on somebody else's dreams. Old enough to know better, young enough to wonder why. I still wake up early, still got a wandering eye, but I'm old enough to know better. I would take your pain if I knew just what it was, and it would never bother you again. And you will never be the same if you let me take it all away. It never looked good on you anyway. And then the chorus again.
Wow.
That's a powerful song. And what I love about it is that it starts out with an old joke, but rejiggered. You know, I think the old joke was, I'm old enough to know better and young enough not to care. Or was it the other way around?
Or young enough to, something like that.
Yeah, and you took that and you really did some diving with it. It was wonderful, you know, and that's the humanity part I was talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
that one's been floating around for quite a while, probably 2 years before I finally managed to put the lid on it and feel good about it, good enough to share it anyway.
Yeah, no, good. I'm glad you did.
Awesome.
That's powerful. So tell me a little bit about the process.
Well, I think I generally write from observation. You know, if something catches my ear and I think about it, that it's novel enough to explore, I put it into my list of titles, or I scribble it on a napkin or whatever I've got handy, and I ruminate on it. Like, I got to think about it for a while, usually, before anything really concrete comes out. But then I like with that one, Old Enough to Know Better was the main hook. So I had to basically build the verses around it, and explore what I was feeling at the time and try to put it into something that was palatable, you know, and not just be doing a whole lot of telling. You know, I am telling you, but at the same time, I think a lot of people can envision what's going on. And I think it's relative too, you know, like, you can probably make it pertinent to your own life, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think anybody over the age of 7 feels that. I'm old enough to know better. No, but that was great.
Nice. Thank you.
Rigel, you got anything to share?
I mean, I don't know. There's other people's work that I know is funny. I think there's one kind of verse in something I wrote that was kind of funny or has some humor. It's from the song which is on my EP. I feel like it's actually a full album. I'll do the watering if you pull the weeds. And so the first verse goes, I said, I want to start a garden. You said, sounds good to me, but first we need something to grow. So we went down to the nursery and picked up some seeds. Broccoli, squash, jalapenos. Well, we're staring at our plot, wondering how this would work. 'Cause you don't like getting wet, and I don't like the dirt. But if I can keep clean and you can stay dry, we'll make a plan and then give it a try. I'll do the watering if you pull the weeds. That's everything that a garden really needs. We'll dig holes in the ground and drop in the seeds. I'll do the watering if you pull the weeds. Well, I got ants biting my ankles and a sunburn on my neck. My legs are getting shaky and I'm dripping with sweat. I'm starting to lose my grip on this leaky watering hose, but I'll keep holding on for those sweet tomatoes. I'll do the watering if you pull the weeds. That's everything that a garden really needs. We'll dig holes in the ground and drop in the seeds. I'll do the watering if you pull the weeds. Now we're gathered round our table. There's a twinkle in your eye. Our plates are overflowing. It's a full moon tonight. You said, honey, we made it to the season's end. We got some scrapes and bruises, but now we're on the mend. I'll do the watering if you pull the weeds. That's everything that a garden really needs. We'll dig holes in the ground and drop in the seeds. I'll do the watering, raking and shoveling, pruning and pottering if you pull the weeds.
Yeah, phenomenal. I love the layering of that, where it's about the planting of the garden and everything, and yet you bring in that thing about the made it through the season with the through scuffs and bruises and stuff, and so we get a deeper meaning from it there.
I wrote that entire verse sitting in the waiting room of my therapist's office. So yeah.
I love it.
Something about the particularity of like you're planting a garden, and this is a song about planting a garden.
Yeah.
But it's like the garden isn't just the garden. But it could be just a garden. Like this could just be like two people who don't actually like gardening who decided to plant a garden.
Yeah.
Which is absurd, and funny. Or it can be something that's bigger and can be like there's a lot of like mining of meaning that can happen in the midst of all that.
Yes. It's harvesting of meaning.
Just the word the word puttering is just funny. Puttering.
That was from Dave Sutherland. Wait, you were there for that, Lita, didn't you? I feel like I was trying to figure out how to make the last kind of line funny and just
on the call. Yeah, on the Zoom call.
Yeah, I was on the Zoom call.
Yeah,
and
nailed it.
I ended up going with
He nailed it.
Yeah.
It's just that's what I love is when the humor is just part of it. I mean, even Shakespeare, whom I never got to meet, I always wanted to, but he always seemed to be busy, never returned my calls. But he always, in his most darkest tragedies, had moments of humor, moments of levity that sort of allowed us to regain our composure for, so it's not so down all the way. And then, and I think it's good for that, but it also usually added another level, like Hamlet in the graveyard with Yorick's skull, alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. Oh, he was a good guy. basically is what he's saying. And I think it's important, and it's important that we laugh, especially with all the, it's attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but I think it goes back further than that. I laugh so I do not cry.
Yeah.
And with the absurdity of the world, not getting any less absurd, we need to laugh. So,
No, and sorry, go ahead.
And the fool historically, all the way back, to thousands of years, has also been seen as a wise man, somebody who could get away with, some pretty wild crap nobody else could get away with because he was funny. Sort of like your kid saying, you're really stupid. Just kidding. Like that makes everything better. But
well, good humor, or good comedians or good, wits are able to say things, hard truths that polite company would never say, but in a way that if you're laughing while they're making fun of you, you don't often it doesn't offend, and you could actually walk away with a lesson that's a little deeper than just a joke. That's why jesters were part of courts, the court systems of the Middle Ages, is you had to walk a fine line to be funny enough so that you could say the things that nobody else would say. Wow. And knock the king or queen down a peg, but do so in a way that makes them laugh. Comedians are brilliant truth tellers, but they do so in a way that the people who they are criticizing or the absurdity that they're pointing out, that everybody's ignoring or doesn't think about, when you leave you go, oh yeah, okay, well, I'd never thought about it like that, and that is pretty funny.
They remind us to be humble.
I think that the phrase you mentioned early on, Joe, benign incongruency, I think that's where the art is in it, because I tend to not do benign incongruency. I tend to go for kind of really uncomfortable, and that just gets, it's not enjoyable. And the week later I go back and listen, I'm like, oh, that's glad that's not going public.
Well, that's like the fool that takes it just a step too far. You have to be able to.
That's the fool that takes it just a step too far.
Because it's oh boy, I shouldn't have said that last thing.
I think it'd be interesting to collect a list of songs or artists who are really good at doing this, kind of threading that needle. I
started one.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Awesome. Mose Allison is one of my favorites.
Oh my God.
And
yeah.
The piece I was actually going to share was just one of the verses of this song that he wrote that I feel is so dang appropriate. But I'll just do the first verse because it's fantastic, and it gets better. So he goes ever since the world ended, I don't go out as much. People that I once befriended just don't bother to stay in touch. Things that used to seem so splendid don't really matter today. It's just as well the world ended. It wasn't working anyway. It's so morbid, but it's so good.
Oh, I love that song.
Oh, man.
Timely right now too.
I know.
Wow, that's hitting home. I don't go out much either.
I know.
So, and we got a second. I was gonna just walk through a
Please.
thought process I had on writing a song years ago.
That's great.
You guys don't know it, but I used to do a lot of children's music or family music, mostly when my children were small and, got less interested when they got older. Although when I became a high school teacher late in life, a number of kids came to me and said, "Mr. Thompson, we downloaded your CD. We love it." I'm like, "Really? Are you joshing me here? I don't know what's going on." But so I was thinking about the process, and there's a song I wrote called "Pirates in the Bathtub," and I sat down to write a song, as we all do sometimes. You sit down with nothing. I had nothing. I'm like, I need something. So then I thought, well, okay, so I need two dissimilar objects, two dissimilar things. And I thought, well, kids like pirates. Okay, and I wonder if pirates ever go to the bathroom. Oh, they gotta. So then it became pirates in the bathroom. So I got the concept, and then I had to walk that through of who they were and why they were there and what they were doing. And that gave me the structure I needed. And then I tied it up with, because I like to tie things up sometimes, with a little verse at the end about talking to his father about taking a bath. And he's like, "Well, I think I should skip it tonight," because there's pirates up there and everything. But the process of coming up with the idea, taking two dissimilar objects. I used to tell my art class that sometimes creativity is about diving down into the midst of insanity and watching as things bounce off each other. And then, and this is key, coming back up and being able to explain what you perceived. If you can't explain what you perceived, you're just crazy. But if you can explain it, you're creative. That's, so. And that's what I taught my students.
Yeah.
I would like to leave with one more comment. When I taught art, I always had a guitar in the room. And I think I wrote this too as a message to somebody. I always had a guitar in the room, which I picked up whenever things got quiet. And I just sing about what was happening. What the hell. So one year I gave an exam and the extra credit question at the end so that they'd pass. Just thought it'd be nice. Was tell me one thing that you really learned this year that you never knew before. And one kid wrote, "I learned that anything can be made into a song."
Yes.
And I'm like, credit.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that, Joe. Man, I feel like we're just scratching the surface with this. And I think it would be fun to do like a hands-on kind of workshop with, even just combining dissimilar objects and kind of jumping into that and exploring it a little bit. Kind of seeing how you do that, see how we all do it together. Because I think it would be fun to go deeper with this topic. Because I think humor and humanity, it's such a rich topic. So if you'd be up for that, I think that'd be really cool to kind of do a hands-on kind of dive.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a book resource that so I went to a bookshop and I said, what do you have? I just like what's a suggestion that you have? And she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a pastor." And she goes, "Well, you might want this." So she gave it to me, and it's called "The Elements of Wit: The Mastering the Art of Being Interesting," which I don't know. Huh? It's by Benjamin Arrett. Oh, it's backwards.
No, it's okay to us.
Yeah.
It is. You can see it.
Yeah. It's
okay. It's mirrored on mine.
WIT.
Yeah.
Elements of Wit, and it kind of like breaks up in. It's kind of like dissecting a joke. It's not funny after you've explained it, but
yeah,
there's like 12 aspects of like wit this person kind of unpacks a little bit. Hey, oh, that's the one. Are you reading it now, Lita? It's really interesting, isn't it?
Yes, I have it. This is my Audible app, and I have it on Audible. You can see I'm on chapter 7.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's fascinating, and it definitely has like informed the way I write music a little bit. Like, instead of writing these longer drawn out phrases, one of the things he talks about is brevity. What can you say with the least amount of words? And if you're trying to write briefly, you choose your words differently and to convey the most meaning in the least amount of space. Or to offer the most interpretation for the least amount of words. So I don't know, it might be helpful.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to get it.
Yeah, it's a good read. I don't know if it made me any more interesting, but I know why I'm not now. So.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Oh, man. Well, y'all, this has been a fantastic use of my life, I have to say. Thank you all for showing up. This was really fun. Thanks, Joe, for leading a workshop.
Well, everybody.
Absolutely.
It was everybody. I mean, I was just helping out. It was great. So let's do it again.
Yes, for sure. All right, y'all. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you out there.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Thank
everyone.
you, Joe. Thank you, Virgil.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Joe.
everybody. Nice seeing everyone.
Thanks, Virgil.
Bye.
See you, everybody.